Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nerds at Large Spoilercast for Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3. I am one of your hosts, Darby Hallman.
I am Jeff Mayo.
And Jeff, holy crap, what an episode.
Yeah.
We've tried to keep our discussions to a minimum, but, like, this is up there.
Yeah.
In the pantheon of Game of Thrones. So, this is, I feel like I need to say this every time. This is your first and final warning. All spoilers for episode 3 of season 7 of Game of Thrones. If you haven't watched it, don't listen to us, because we're going to spoil it to death. Jeff, Danny, and John.
Yes, they meet.
Like you were saying, like we were sitting down to watch it, you kind of forget, just we've been watching these characters for so long.
Yeah, that a lot of these characters have not met each other.
Yeah, not at all, or barely even, like...
Yeah, or Jon or Tyrion haven't seen each other since season 1.
Yeah.
One of the first episodes.
There's lots of callbacks to season 1 with that. And them. But we're about to get, like, deep into this, but just overall perspective, this episode, from the storylines to the acting, especially to, like, the cinematography, was insane in this one, to the music, everything. Like, this episode, he really, really knocked it out of the park. And I don't think, and I love this series, and I don't think I've been that engrossed in an episode where, like, just every like scene, whether it was like action or political, like talking, which most of it was talking, I was like so invested in all of it. I don't know, I'm guessing you feel a similar way.
Yeah. You're better at talking. I'll let you handle that. Just agree.
Yeah, so Jeff, let's get into this, because I'm really excited to talk about this one. So, biggest thing, Danny and Jon.
Yes, they meet.
So this interaction, it was kind of like a lot of the struggles and like the struggles of power and stuff that we thought might come up did come up.
Yeah.
With this, it came up faster and harder than I maybe had thought, because it was pretty instantaneously. They get in there and just right from not saying your grace, and Davos points it out, and it was just like, well, here we go. All hell is breaking loose.
Yep, and Daenerys bring up, your ancestor been to the Nito-Mat.
And then him bringing up, well, your father killed
killed a couple members of my family.
Yeah. So it's like they both had, and like what I love about the scene is, like, as a viewer, it kind of tears you apart, because like I love them both.
Yeah.
And they both have points.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice little thing where Jon was like, well, Daenerys brought it up, the sins of the father should not be the sins of the daughter, and then Jon's like, well, I shouldn't. If we're doing that kind of stuff, I shouldn't have to do what my ancestors did.
Just because they
keep their promise.
And I saw it from both of their perspectives. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we know both of them, and we know both of them, or at least we think both of them are good people and all this, but they don't know each other. Like, they have...
Yeah, I think the fact they keep on... Well, mainly when Jon talks to Tyrion, bring up, like, yeah, she doesn't know you. She has no reason to necessarily believe you about this White Walker thing. Like Tyrion was, just because, like, he trusts Jon.
And, I mean, that's true. Like, I get it from her perspective, because, like...
Who's this crazy man?
Yeah, it's like this guy, like, comes into her castle and it's like, no, I'm the king in the north, and, like, you know, defies her rule. Yeah, you would think, like, you'd be like, no, that's not how this works. Yep. And she probably would just view him as another, like, crazy person that's going to try to, like, mess up her kingdom and everything.
The dead is coming from beyond the wall. But don't you just see it, sheeple?
Then also, when you take Jon's perspective, Jon knows. Jon's, like, I think Jon's first priority is being the White Walkers above being a king or a ruler or anything like that, because he doesn't even want it.
Yeah, the king is just to justify the getting rid of them.
Basically, and it, like, helps him do it. And so, like, I don't think he, as a person, really would mind that much of just bending the knee to her and going on with his business. But he knows that if he bends the knee to her and tries to go back to the north, they're not going to listen to them.
And he pretty much
they're probably not going to fight the White Walkers at that point, or at least they're not going to let him be a part of it.
Yeah.
And the whole thing will be ruined.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of he had to do that. There's no other option. So and that's what makes it so fascinating. Because it's one person who like wants it more than anything. It's been her, like, she's been driving to this moment for so long, like her entire arc. Like she said, she's been like sold as a slave. She's been beaten, all this other stuff to get here. And then there's John that's been kind of like thrusted into this, but doesn't really want it. Mm-hmm. But then they're both in a position where they kind of have to stand their ground, even though they need to work together. But it's like, it's just so good.
Yeah. Well, we're into it later, but Danny's definitely going to want to bargain with John a little more for him to help her after the events today.
Because 2 weeks in a row, which I didn't see coming and not many people I saw coming, 2 weeks in a row, Danny's taking them L's.
Yeah, when I think most people agreed Cersei was at a giant disadvantage. And she turned that around pretty quick.
Pretty damn
And
quick.
Honestly, I mean, if people look at it differently, not in ass-pulley ways, like, so at the point I was like, you think about it, it's like, okay, this stuff makes...
Yeah, we'll get into it later, but like, that's what I loved so much. There's been some like jumps in logic in Game of Thrones in the last 2 seasons, just here and there, but like, this easily could have been one if done wrong, but I liked it a lot. But we're going to get into that later. Also, another big part of this, the whole all Danny and Jon scene that I absolutely loved was Tyrion and Jon's interactions. Because I really think they nailed that, like, they have a connection, they like each other, but they didn't go so far to where it felt unearned, because like at the end of the day, these characters have really only met once.
Yeah, like talked for a couple hours probably.
Yeah, so they didn't like try to pretend like they know each other, like they're just complete buds, but like they did kind of have a connection there, and they had each other's backs to a point. And I thought Kit Harington and Peter Dinklage nailed that.
Well, I think we're gonna say, insert acting name here, nailed it a lot.
I think we absolutely will. This was like some of the best acting in the series, I think, in this episode. But between when they were walking up and the like dragon flies over and like Jon's looking like, oh my god!
No, all the people with Jon and Sir Davos and his men ducked. All the Daenerys people were just watching like, that's normal.
Tyrion's like, you might get used to it, you probably won't. Like,
I still haven't completely.
And like we're kind of jumping around, guys. This is how it's gonna be. But when they got on the boat at first, and he's like Bastard of Winterfell, and he's like Dwarf of Castle Rock, and they stare at each other, and then they like handshake. It was just, it was slightly, I guess, fan servicey in the best way possible, and I couldn't get enough of them being in the scene. That's why I was so happy when they had that other scene later.
Yeah, and by the sounds of it, Jon can be sticking around there at least a little bit.
Yeah,
unless something dramatically changes in the next episode or two.
Yeah, and I mean, who knows after the end of this episode? Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows? And if this episode is any indication, the rest of Game of Thrones is going to get fast and hard. Yeah,
and she might need him for more than just him mining Dragonglass and getting out of there now.
Yeah,
they might have to bargain a little bit more.
Yeah, like, hey, I'm letting you do that. I'm letting you use my land and my men to mine this Dragonglass you want. Time to pay up.
yeah, and that's fair.
Yeah.
But and also I just wanted to I was thinking about this as we were watching it. I love kind of even I feel like this episode in general kind of gave me a lot of old school Game of Thrones vibes, just in the way that the scenes went and some of the dialogue, because they went. I think some of season 6 and even season 7 so far, sometimes I feel like the dialogue's a little rushed, or it's we're just getting to the point too fast to the point where you think back to season 1 and it felt so much like the moves felt bigger because it was you built up to these things and there was a lot of conversations.
Yeah, and they got to go a lot faster considering we only have 10 episodes left.
Yeah, but they're going fast, but I think they're doing it in a good way, to the point where they still had I liked it was a simple scene, but even just Dany and Tyrion talking to each other about Jon and them and everything, and I felt the way they were talking to each other was very real. Dany was did you catch when he said this, when Davos said this, and just it was just it just I'm not describing it very well, but it felt like two real people talking to each other.
That's the thing I think helped this episode, and it was. They said a lot to do with the acting. These conversations felt a lot more natural than a lot of TV shows, and even sometimes it happens in this show.
Yeah, even to Game of Thrones standards, I felt like these felt like real conversation, and it made the people seem like...
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff people were bringing up, like we said, like when Danny and John were talking, were logical. There wasn't really any of that, that doesn't really make any sense, but okay, kind of thing.
Well, when you see, like, Danny, like, talking to Tyrion, she's kind of comfortable. Like, she's more laid back than when she's talking to Jon and having to present the ruler front.
Before a little more forceful.
Yeah, and I liked seeing that, too. Mm-hmm. And it helps from last week when I was really worried about the direction that Danny was going with her. But as I viewed the episode more, I got a little more, like, I toned down from that a little bit, and then this episode helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, she could have been a lot more harsh on Jon if she was going Mad Queen, full-on Mad Queen, at least at this point.
And she listened to reason with Tyrion when he was talking about that, and, like, Tyrion believed him, and, like, she could have not believed Tyrion, especially after, like, and, like, I would thought that she was going to be mad at Tyrion about the military plan failing. Mm-hmm. You know, I thought so. I was worried. There were several.
Well, here's the thing.
There were several chances she could have been Mad Queenie, but she was not.
Here's the thing, though. Like, we still haven't seen her reaction to Casterly Rock and Highgarden yet. So this could be when she flips on Tyrion a little bit.
Yeah, and this is 2 failures in a row, and she might start to get desperate. And there's going to be some point. I think, like, Olenna, the whole Be the Dragon last week, that's happening at some point. Like, Daenerys is going to have to get aggressive. Yeah. I mean, not even to be evil. She's just going to have to get aggressive. Like, she's going to have to be calculated.
They keep on bringing up the whole, you're not planning on going into King's Landing and killing a bunch of people to get what you want. You're trying to do it more strategically and make sure, innocent people live. They keep on bringing that up. So... Yeah, it could be a thing where she flips.
And that's the George R.R. Martin way, where it's like, you could, if you went in there and chose the, like, kind of morally bad option, it would have worked out great for you. But, like, being honorable, it has a price. Yeah. And that's what Game of Thrones is all about. It's hard to take the high road.
Yeah, and bringing up the whole thing, last episode with Dany and Varys, like, saying, like, if you have a problem with me, say it to my face. That could be something that he goes, like, hey, this isn't cool.
Yeah.
If she does flip on that whole, we're not going to kill a bunch of innocent people thing.
And then it's like, I could see Varys turning on her if he thinks that she's evil enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't completely trust Varys either. There's a lot of, like, distrust here.
Saying that Varys and Melisandre scene.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about that. Very, like, weird cryptic scene here. Yeah. It's just like...
Pretty much Melisandre being like, hey, we're both going to... I'm leaving, but I'm coming back. We're both gonna die.
Yeah, like the look. You don't see Varys in, like, surprise or confusion or shock very often. He usually has everything together. Mm-hmm. But he was, like the look on his face. It's like, I
might be a little bit in trouble.
Like, I don't exactly know what we're talking about, but it's just weird foreshadowing.
Yeah.
There. I mean, it makes sense. Like Varys, like. I was actually kind of surprised that it didn't get brought up at all last week. I mean, it was maybe because Varys might have kept his mouth shut because he just had that conversation with Dany, but Varys, like, hates Red Priest and stuff. And we saw that not last season, the season before, whatever. Or I guess that, whatever season it was.
Some point in time.
Some point in Game of Thrones. And that he, like, loathes R'hllor and Red Priest, and that's the same thing in the books, too. So it kind of made sense that he was going out and kind of, like, saying this to her and not being nice.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Do you have much to say about them?
Not really.
It's kind of hard to predict.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm guessing we're not going to see Melisandre for a while, but if she says she's coming back...
Might not be till next season.
We'll probably see. Yeah, I can see that. She might be part of the end game.
Yeah.
It did seem weird for me for her to just go to Volantis when she knows that the Army of Dead are coming and stuff, so... I don't know. I mean, it's not much she can do besides what she already did, bringing them together.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, unless you have any more Dany Jon, which will probably be intertwining into everything else.
You kind of briefly brought it up, but...
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
The whole, mentioned Davos saying something, and Jon be like, hey, chill. And then Dany bringing it up to Tyrion later, the whole... That was pretty much about reveal, like... Hey, Jon was killed. And
Jon died. Yeah, like, and that's that's kind of something like maybe it was an oversight on my part, but I didn't really think about that with Jon going to Daenerys. I was too busy thinking about like everything else that could happen with the political stuff. I didn't really think about how people might react to hearing that he's that he died and came back to life.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, more crazy talk, but if he can somehow prove it, like, I don't know, I can't remember if there's a scar there, but over his heart, like, show that maybe. Be more like, maybe he did. Maybe something weird is going around here.
And it'd be something, I mean, like, he could say Melisandre did it, and it'd be like, oh, well, she's the one that told us about you. It'd be like...
well, yeah. You say, like, a red witch or whatever.
Yeah.
Did it. Like, oh, yeah, we have one here. It's like, wait, what?
Huh. So, I mean, that's interesting. It kind of, like, all that foreshadow, like, Davos basically revealing it, like, stopping short of...
Yeah, and like, Dany in terms of, like, wait, what?
It's like, he gave his lot, and then he just stopped, and, like, then Dany bringing it up later. I'm guessing that's coming.
Yeah.
And because I think Jon, like you said, he's gonna, in next episode, he's gonna be in it more than just mining dragonglass. Like, she's gonna have to come to him in a more humble way. So that's probably coming, and I don't know how they'll react. Like, I don't know if they won't trust them because of it, or if it's just, I'm not sure. You know?
I don't know.
I'm not even, like, 100% sure. I mean, I guess I kind of understand, but, like, I wonder why they're, like, even trying to hide it. It could be, like, this man died. Like...
it might be one of those things they don't want to bring up because it may just make him sound crazier.
Yeah, they already sound crazy.
Let's just focus on the crazy stuff that's actually important and relevant.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Bring up, oh, they're zombies, and I'm technically a zombie.
Yeah, I guess that could be a hard sell, too. Let's go fight the dead. It's like, are you the dead?
No, I'm different.
It's a different type of, it's just come north and see.
Yeah. So, yeah. Again, yeah, I liked how it felt natural, like, how much of a hard sell of Jon's thing
I absolutely adored Tyrion and Jon's conversation when, like, Jon, like, he's like, yeah, it's a good question. I know it's a good question.
I want an answer, little man.
And that's, like, something really you'd have to work. And, like, I like how, like, just helpless Jon is. He's just like, I don't know how else to say this.
Yeah,
he's like, I understand why you don't believe me, but you have to believe me.
Yeah. You were pretty much saying, yeah, if anyone came and told me this, I'd be like, what's this guy saying, too? But, yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, it's a little thing, but also, like, how Tyrion kept saying, like, if I was his hand, I wouldn't have advised him to come here. So, like, you need to try,
Yeah, so,
lots of little subtle lines.
Yeah, just adding to the reason Tyrion believes Jon. Like, if he came here, he obviously is, something's going on.
He didn't come all the way down here for nothing.
Yeah. Under those conditions where he's at Dany's mercy. Yeah. At any time, he can just be killed.
Which, this is the first time Jon's been south of Winterfell this entire show.
Oh, yeah.
He's only been at Winterfell, the Wall, and then north of the Wall. He's never been south at all. So it was like, that's something I thought about when he was coming.
Okay. So, are you ready to move on?
Yeah. Well, one thing, I'm just interested to hear what you... Did you think that at the end, Jon was going to end up bending the knee?
Probably.
Did it cross your mind? Because it crossed my mind.
It crossed mine a little bit, but and I was like, probably not. For a lot of reasons, like, we kind of named, like, well, the people in the north would really frown
I think so, too, yeah. I didn't know if he was eventually going to be like, I'm just going to have to deal with that when I get there, and, like, Neil to get her to
like,
come, but...
And it's my main thought was pretty much what happened, like, no, who cares about any of this? We got more important things to deal with. This is a kid's game.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was an interesting way of doing it. I also, part of me thought, like, what if he bends the knee to Dany and then just stays with her and they all go up north, and if the Northmen don't like it, it's like, well, we have an army. And Jon's like, sorry. It's the only way you're going to listen to me. I don't know. All right, we have a lot of show to get to.
Yep.
I could talk about Dany and Jon for an hour, but we did. There's so much to talk about. We haven't even got it. All right, so let's move. I was going to say down, but it's kind of over to King's Landing. Yep. All right, so I think we were all looking to this with a little bit of dread after the end of last week. Like, you knew it wasn't going to be good with Alaria.
Part of it was exciting because Dorne, is getting screwed up.
Sucked, yeah.
So
Yara is more sad, but
yeah. Well, we don't know what
we don't know her
Yora's fate is.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
She's still with Euron.
So Euron
Had a parade.
Euron is still his like cocky goth kid looking self, like soaking in all the praise.
Actually, we may have mentioned this on the last podcast. I can't remember. How do you feel about Euron as a whole and his general attitudes? I think people saying they don't really like it because it's kind of different. I kind of like how it stands out.
It fits with me. Like I think like it makes him like, and I feel like he had a tough act to follow with Joffrey and Ramsay and even Cersei now. Like he has a tough act to follow as far as villains. So I kind of like that he's this different thing.
I mean, it's not just pretty much. I'll just put it this way. Sadistic for the sake of being sadistic. Like
he's kind of like out for personal gain, and some of it makes sense. He's just kind of like he's
a cocky asshole.
Yeah, I don't think there's all that much deep within the surface with him to a point. I mean, there's more than we think, but he's kind of just power hungry.
Yeah.
And he's just
good at what he does.
And he's very competent.
Yeah.
And they did a good job of showing that last week. Mm-hmm. Like it would be a little more empty to me if he was just cocky and we never actually saw him back it up.
Yeah.
But especially now that we've seen that, I think it works for me.
Yeah.
And I like the change of pace, like you were saying. I'm kind of enjoying him as a villain.
Yeah, I mean,
he's fun. He's a fun villain.
Yeah, and I think it helps that, he's playing a pretty big role now, but he's not like Ramsay or Joffrey, that he's like a main threat.
Yeah.
He's just kind of a side thing.
I think it would have been worse if he took the place of like Ramsay, if he was like in the middle-ish of the story and he like had a big central role like with Sansa or something. That would be worse. But since this is kind of the end game and he's kind of just like a side thing to Cersei, but there's still a level of distrust there still, I think it works pretty well.
Okay.
As long as he's not the central
and the whole
guy.
thing with Jaime.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's not the central bad guy because good Lord Cersei is.
Yeah.
This was messed up.
Yeah.
Or and part of it, like going into don't get me wrong, I like this especially. I was thinking like I didn't even know what she was gonna do. I was trying to put it like through the dark parts of my brain.
Yeah, when they're in the dungeon, it's like, okay, what's gonna happen? It sounds like they're just leaning up to her, like slashing her throat or something.
And I was thinking of some pretty messed up stuff, and it ended up being worse than anything I could think of. But going into it, I was kind of like, this is weird for me because while Cersei, I know Cersei's going to take this too far, and like I'm not saying I support Cersei at all, but Ilaria did kill an innocent girl.
Yeah.
Like yes, Cersei and the Lannisters like had to do with Oberyn dying, and then Oberyn's whatever his wife before that dying, or his sister dying before that. Yeah. They. Like, yes, like, Cersei is to blame for that, but Myrcella's not.
Yeah.
Myrcella was an innocent girl that she killed because of Cersei. Ilaria is not a good character. Like, Ilaria shouldn't deserve our, like, undying love or anything like that just because she's on the side we're pulling for.
Yeah.
She's a pretty, like, bad person, too. That being said,
oh my.
There's a limit, and... it was disturbing. It was disturbing to watch.
I'm gonna be honest. It might be a hindsight thing. I always kept on looking looking at Cersei as like something feels off about her lips. If I felt like they look more red, or they were staring out in the light for a little more for that lighting.
I was like, she's wearing a lot of makeup, or she's wearing
it's like
some.
They look weird, and then when she did the poison kiss, like, oh.
I'm sure someone, like, let us know if you're listening to that. I'm sure someone saw that coming as soon as they saw the lips. I am not one of those people. I noticed it, but I was like.
I didn't directly jump to that conclusion. Yeah. It was pretty easy to guess, like, oh, they're gonna kill the daughter.
And I even I kind of predicted that they would kill the daughter and make her watch.
Yeah, I figured that like right away.
But the like completely messed up part of this is that she's gonna die slowly, and they have to sit there and watch, and she's staying there afterwards.
Yeah.
Like she's staying there for that is like. There's like new levels of demented.
Yeah.
It's like past Ramsay. At least Ramsay like ends up killing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing we'll probably never see Ilaria again, or at least I guess maybe if someone takes King's Landing, they might be able to free them.
Yeah.
But at that point, she's gonna be so broken anyway. Like it's gonna be bad.
We might be done with Doran altogether.
I think we are. and because like if you kill Ilaria, then like if you kill her immediately, then the Dornish army could be that's a martyr. Like let's go join like whoever's left. Let's go join Dany or whatever. But as long as she's alive, it's still something that you can keep. Like, we have her. Like if you fight us, we'll just kill her immediately. So it's kind of a bargaining chip there.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on the torture?
Nah.
I mean, it was shot so well.
Yeah,
And Lena Headey is just like her slow dissolve into madness has been really, really.
It's one of those things. Yes, we hate Cersei, but it's because Headey plays her so well,
so well. And like this kind of scene and this kind of like evil would almost come I feel like in a lot of entertainment it would come off as almost kind of like a little. Cheesy is not the right word. But
cartoonish?
Cartoonish evil. But because we've been watching her since season 1 and we've seen this progression, it actually works.
Yeah.
So it just makes it like she's that evil, but it's believable to me.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much what you said. After all we've seen of her, her doing that is pretty much what we should have expected.
Because she just doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like she's just,
Yeah.
So past this, it's kind of a smaller thing.
Keeping with the whole she doesn't care anymore thing.
Yeah, like she just completely the relationship with Jaime just out in the open now. Like she just doesn't care at all, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one way to look at it is everyone knew.
everyone knew in the back of their head. They
Yeah.
They just didn't say it. Like behind closed doors, everyone knew, and just Cersei just doesn't care anymore. There's no one. There's no one left above her to strike her down. She's just. She just has power and there's no one there to take it from her, so she's she just doesn't care. So which is just I thought that was interesting. I didn't really think we would get to that point, but it was
yeah.
I guess there's also the Iron Bank scene, but that kind of ties into later on. Did you think when they had that scene and she said don't worry, I'll have our debt repaid in full? I started being like, oh boy, something's happening.
Yeah, she has something big planned.
It was long enough between that scene and the end that I wasn't thinking about it when that was happening. Yeah. I kind of stopped thinking about it, but just in that moment, started getting worried.
Yeah, I didn't even really think about it until when, they were marching up, and then I guess did a little time skip, and they already took the place, and you see the soldiers with the gold. It's that's how.
Yep. All right. Well, you have anything left in King's Landing?
Nope. We're going back to some King's Landing people later.
Yes. All right. Some of the there was a few it was mostly big storylines in this episode, but there was a few smaller ones. Sam for the third week in a row, which I was surprised about. But
are we getting Sam next week? Find out next week.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out next week. So seems like Jorah is just completely healed. Yeah. Which, I'm surprised because I really thought that Grayscale was going to play a bigger role in the show in general. I mean, I expected him to be healed after what happened last week.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of surprised that was it. That it's Jorah got Grayscale, went to the Citadel, he got cured. And now he's going to go.
Okay.
I don't know if that's disappointing. It might not be. It's not disappointing per se. It's just a little surprising. It's just.
Yeah, I think we kind of need to see how it goes from here, like what happens with Jorah and Sam, or the fact that they're now buddy plays into the future.
Yeah.
I don't know, might bring Dany and Jon together somehow or help.
Yeah, if Jorah goes there and then Sam.
Pretty much say, hey, both for one of our most trusted people are cool, so it'd help.
But it seems like if that was the direction it was going, I swore that Sam was going to get kicked out of the Citadel and him and Jorah would leave together, and then Sam would hear that Jon was with Daenerys and would go over there. That's where I swore we were heading, but I guess not. So also, do you think Sam has more of a role to play in the story at the Citadel, or do you think he's just going to be there for the rest of the show and we're going to catch up with him later at the end?
I have no idea because okay, yes, he went to the Citadel, he learned about the dragon, I was like, okay, his Citadel stuff might be done. Oh no, Jorah's there. Okay, cure Grayscale. maybe he's done. Oh no, he's staying. And he's rewriting books. I don't know.
I really.
It's an Arya situation now. Like,
yeah.
where does he go from here exactly? Until he gets kicked out, but
because now I can't really picture a way that he involves the plot very much. Like, he was pretty important these last few episodes with the Dragon Glass reveal, and then even healing Jorah, which Jorah will probably go on to do something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I also didn't expect. Yeah, like, we're only 3 episodes into this, which, 3 episodes is a lot more of this season than most.
We're pretty much halfway done.
Yeah. But I didn't expect that Jorah to be back into the story that quickly.
Yeah.
To, like, go and then come back.
Yeah. Well, we don't know when he'll meet up with everyone else.
Yeah, but he's at least, like, heading that way. It sounds like he said Daenerys, that's the only place for me, is by her side.
Though, we have no way of knowing, or as far as we know, he has no way of knowing where exactly she is, unless...
You could ask around. I'm sure everyone's talking about this war. Like, I'm sure he could figure that out. And, like, he actually kind of knows his way around as a military, strategist. So, since Dany's going to really need to be careful and calculate, carefully going into this, I could see him kind of taking over as military advisor.
True.
Because it's going to be really important to not lose any of your army, because our army is really diminished.
That could be the jumpstart Daenerys needs.
Yeah, that could be like part of the turning point as he gets there and be like, all right, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that being a role for him.
Indeed.
All right, well, moving on. Tiny scene, we don't need to talk about it much, but Theon, kind of didn't expect to see him this week, but he got picked up by the Greyjoys, which...
And they're like, we disappointed you, son.
Yeah, man.
We know what you did.
I feel so bad for Theon. I just, it's bad.
But it's like, okay, we like Theon, okay? Oh, no, we hate you, Theon. Aw, poor guy.
Yeah.
It has just kept that way pretty much.
It has. And, like, I know some people just completely, like, hate him after last week, but I'll say it again. Like, I think you're missing the point, It's... Yeah.
He's
broken. He's a broken
He's
dude.
still weak.
And he never, he never really looked like he had it. It was just kind of like he was putting on a brave face.
Yeah.
And this is, this is not really spoilery because, you have the same information, but, in the opening crawl thing when they go to different places, they keep showing Pike every week. And I didn't know how that was going to play into this. I'm wondering if Theon ends up going back to Pike in some way. And, maybe he tries to, hold the Iron Islands and stuff. But it doesn't really seem like something he would want to do. I'm not sure. But, that might be the connection that he just got picked up.
Oh, it may not be what he wants to. Maybe what he feels like he needs to do for his sister.
Or something.
Yeah.
And that could be something like Euron, while Euron's busy fighting over here, he's probably leaving Pike on the,
all depending, the, Theon and the people that picked him up might be going back to Daenerys. I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of unclear about them.
Well, there's really not much to go on for this, so.
Yeah. All right, well, Jeff, let's move up north. I guess before that, Littlefinger being Littlefinger.
Yep.
We knew he was going to try to weasel his way into Sansa's mind, and it kind of seems like it's starting to maybe work. She wasn't exactly putting him away.
Yeah.
Even though it was such a just Littlefinger monologue that I wish that Sansa could just see through. He's like, everyone's your enemy. Your enemies are on all sides. You have to constantly fight your enemy.
Think of every possibility, so then you know what to do when the possibility comes up.
It was just, I was just trying to follow what, and I'm like, Sansa, come on. He's tried to I don't know. So that's still coming. Whatever Littlefinger's planning or whatever is up Littlefinger's sleeve, it's coming. We all know it's coming. We just don't know what it is.
It's been, 6 years coming.
It is. And even just this last little bit, he's just been annoying the last few episodes, and he has to have more than that. Yep. Jeff, your room is so freaking hot.
I feel fine. I guess I'm used to it.
But moving on from that, Bran.
Yeah, Bran
is back.
And weird.
And so weird. But first off, that that like when they first saw each other and Sansa hugged him, it was just like kind of like Jon again. It was like very emotional and very well done. Mm-hmm. But what's your take on Bran? Because he's kind of weird. He's kind of like weirding me out.
He's seen everything. He's seen the worst that humanity has to offer. He's beyond emotions.
Yeah, I mean, you think is he gonna be like that the rest of the show? Is he basically not gonna be Bran anymore? Or is he just
it might. At least probably gonna be away for a while, especially him bringing up Sansa's rape.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just saying it kind of nonchalantly.
And like, if he had any care for her emotions, he would not bring that up.
Yeah.
It
so
just kind of seemed like,
I guess he's kind of broken from seeing everything and just yeah.
He just he was just emotionless, like
yeah. Which I think it might be a little weird for us because, I mean, correct me if you felt different, or say something if you felt differently. I didn't feel like there's nothing that showed that he was leading to being an emotionless.
We have not
ragdoll.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, be careful what you wish for, because I also don't think I wanted to. But we haven't seen enough of Bran for this to kind of work to its full potential. I think, because this was almost just as weird for us as it was for Sansa, and I don't feel like it was meant to be that way.
Yeah,
I feel like we were meant to kind of like see this coming more. But Bran's kind of in the grand scheme of like the last few seasons, he's been on screen so little. And we've had such little like character development with him. Last season, he was kind of a proxy for us to learn our Arpacelica's J and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But we don't know Bran nearly as well as we know Sansa and Jon and Daenerys and
Yeah, it's kind of weird to think he has a big role to play, but we see him so little compared to everyone else.
Yeah. So
especially recently.
I wouldn't call it unearned, but it was just kind of like, I feel like it was meant to be like kind of more hard-hitting than it was that he's that way.
Yeah,
it was more just kind of confusing.
I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but he showed at least some emotion when we saw him last season.
Yeah, I mean, I think when like Hodor and that whole thing happening, it's just, I guess he's like full transformation into this, which I like it, and I hope it kind of stays that way, because one of the things that I feel like the show doesn't do as well as the books is having consequences for powers or having other things like that. Like Jon, I mean, the book hasn't gone there, but like Jon dying and coming back, I expected there to kind of be a consequence for it, but so far he's kind of just Jon again. And I feel like in the books, when that kind of stuff happens, there's a consequence. Like Thoros, or like Thoros bringing back Beric Dondarrion.
Yeah.
Especially in the books, like every time he comes back, he's like weaker and hobbled, and like there's a huge price to it. Like it's not just, he's not normal.
Yeah.
And I feel like the show doesn't. They sometimes do it a little more cheaply than that. So I kind of like that Bran's not just, he has all these powers, but he's also just normal Bran. Yeah.
I agree. The point he's at is fine. It's just we didn't see the transformation, so it feels a little weird.
Yeah.
But
I do like how they kind of like address like the fact of how weird his story was through Sansa, because Sansa's like, he's like, I'm the three-eyed raven, and she's like, I don't know what that means. He's like, it's hard to explain. It's like, yeah, you're right, because I don't understand it either.
Like, I was taught by the three-eyed raven. Like, I thought you were the three-eyed raven. It's tough to explain.
I feel like that's what the viewers are saying too.
Yeah. But I don't know what I was about to say. Oh yeah, I think as weird as it was to hear, especially his emotionless tone about Sansa, I think it's at least nice he showed some way to know, like, show Sansa, I do have some powers or whatever. Something is going on with me. I do see things.
Yeah. He's like clear about that. Mm-hmm. Also interesting, and not surprising, but interesting. She said something. I wish Jon was here. He's like, I need to speak to him.
Yeah.
We know what that means.
Yeah.
Like needs to tell him he's a Targaryen.
Oh, or just talk about
and just the White Walkers and just everything. He has a lot to tell Jon.
Yeah. So whenever that happens.
Yeah, which might actually be a while now, because I think Jon might be in Dragonstone.
This stuff's moving so fast. It could be like the first scene of the next episode, Jon's back.
Yeah, got the dragon glass.
Hey, wasn't that great, guys?
I do hope Jon has a bigger boat than his little paddle boat.
I don't know.
I'm sure he does. Okay, any more Winterfell brand stuff?
Nope.
If not, because we're at like 40 minutes now, but I want to talk about Castle Rock for a while, so.
And Haggard.
Yeah, so Buckwin. First off, like, me and Jeff were talking about it, and like, Jeff was like, oh yeah, in the books and show, we've heard so much about Castle Rock, but we've never seen it. It's like one of the biggest, like, most influential areas that we've never seen on screen or on page.
You'd think the whole place was made of gold.
Yeah, I know. It was just kind of a normal castle.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
And I think in the book it's supposed to be like part of it's like built into a rock or something, and that's like why it's called Castle Rock, but this is just a castle. But it still looked cool. It still looked cool.
If you look back, you see part of it built into the rock. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we've been paying that much attention. We're like, stuff's going down.
Yeah. So, first off, I thought this, I've probably already said in this episode, but I felt like this episode kind of felt like watching a movie to me. Like, that's how amazing the cinematography was. Like, it was stepped up in so many levels over already good cinematography. And part of it, like, they did a lot of new things in this episode, and I thought this whole Tyrion voiceover thing was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Especially, like, you know, he was talking about, like, if they, like, charged in there and you see them, like, charging up and doing all this other stuff, and you think that this is real, and you're like, oh, gosh, this battle, and then it's like, oh, no, that's just what Tyrion was talking about if this happens, you know? Or at least that's the way I took it, and then he switched to the sewer plan. It might have been both.
I partly took it as, yeah, he's talking about it, like, yeah, this would happen, and, like, that stuff is happening, but... Like, that was a diversion for what Tyrion's saying. Oh, yeah, we have
these
this
the real people going. You're probably right.
Yeah, because they had to get close because they let them in, remember? The people who snuck in.
Yeah.
They let them through the front gates, so those people had to run and get close.
Oh, wait, you're right. Yeah. You're totally right. Again, we saw this once. We saw this episode once. We're not, like, viewing it multiple times to, like, catch everything. Either way, it was really cool, the way Tyrion's voice was carrying over the whole thing.
And again, it's one of those things where he talks about the sewer thing. It's like... I can see this happening with Tyrion's dad.
Yeah,
being like, you get the sewer.
What was that? That actually is in the books that he was relegated to just doing the sewers and everything. Okay, cool. In the book, it hasn't played any relevance yet, but like I thought that was really cool when he started talking about it. I was like, oh, okay.
It's like hot point from or something mentioned in the book.
And this is something. I would say anyone who's reading the book, I do think this is something that could be a book spoiler. Like everything that happens in the show now, we don't know if it's going to end up happening in the books or not. I think something about that might happen with Tyrion using the fact that he like helped make the sewers to his advantage like that. I could definitely see that happening. Mm-hmm. So, and I thought like what was amazing about this scene is I think Tyrion's plan was very good. It was a really good plan, but so was Jaime's and Cersei's, and I did not see this twist coming at all.
No.
Because and it like me and Jeff were talking about, like this easily could have kind of been a cheap weird twist or something that like didn't make sense for them to do this or whatever, but Jaime's plan actually made a lot of sense because you, like, let them take Castle Rock and think that they're, like, you know, charging in there and having this great victory, only to realize, like, wait, there's no one here. Look out, Euron's taking you in the rear when you're not looking. And they just went and took out...
another one of your biggest allies.
Yeah, your biggest allies when they were not expecting to be. Like, it was complete blindsided. So, yeah, you took Castle Rock, but, like, you expected to just, like, charge in and have to have this battle and deplete the Lannister army. Now the Lannister army is fine, and you're sitting here in this castle with no one to hold it, no food, no anything. You're going to have to leave. Mm-hmm. That's what Jaime said. Like, yeah, they have it for now, but they're not going to stay there.
Well, and they brought up the fact... Yeah, Castle Rock, not technically what it used to be.
Yeah, and that kind of brought it all together because, like, back a few seasons ago, they talked about how, like, Castle Rock is in debt and, like, all the mines are, like, depleted and everything.
They kind of brought it up today with the Iron Bank stuff.
Yeah.
Where the debt goes.
And that brings it full circle, which is really, really cool. So, basically, at the end of the day, what seemed like it was going to be this giant momentum in Dany's side... They're going to end up with nothing to show for it because they're going to lose that castle too. Like,
well, and
they basically got nothing.
And the fact that I think everyone agreed that Daenerys was in a whole lot better position than Cersei, like at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And now tables have turned to where Cersei's major allies were like, okay, she's in a good place, are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
Except for some scragglers here.
It's getting to the point where the tables are either even or maybe slightly towards Cersei at this point.
Yeah.
Because, like, if Euron's fleet, if we expect that took out a decent amount of the Navy there, does Daenerys even have a Navy anymore?
I mean,
if so, it's a Navy that has no chance against Euron's fleet.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, at least the best of their Navy, it's gone.
Yeah.
Because you would think that they would use the best for both those attacks.
Right, and you would think that probably the Ironborn was probably one of their best navies anyway.
I mean, yeah,
because they're the Ironborn,
yeah.
and they are.
Yeah, definitely. But even the best out of her than Sullied and stuff.
This probably, probably such a little fleet that you probably wouldn't even want to attack that way. I imagine she's going to be land attacking from now on.
Yeah. So.
And, like, it's weird because just a few episodes ago, I was like, how could Dany possibly lose? Now I'm like, how is Dany going to pull this off? You know?
John.
That's probably
I mean, at least a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, yeah. So the twist, amazing. This whole scene is amazing. Also was amazing in a completely different way was the Jaime Olenna scene. Amazing, but sad. Like, amazing, like, as far as TV, but I kind of was thinking, after seeing, like, the Tarleys were gonna join the Lannisters, I thought Olenna might have been toast this episode.
Yeah.
And I was right. I didn't want to be right. I was right.
Best character gone.
And, I mean, like,
well, she went out like a boss, I mean.
Oh, yeah. Like, you know she's not gonna. You know she's gonna find some way to go out.
It's like, will this poison hurt? No. It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
By the way, I killed your son.
Peace. I mean, and let's just appreciate though, like, the acting between those two, and that whole scene was just so good. And, like, she was still, like, kind of her sarcastic, sassy self.
I mean, and
she's like, did we fight well? And he was like, yeah, well enough.
Okay. Well, it's the best we can expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked how, Jaime was respectful to her, even if on all that, with the whole, not going into just slaughtering her and being like, yeah, I fought so you can get a peaceful death.
Yeah, and he actually went in there and had, like, a conversation with her and did all that. But I also liked how, even though he did that, she's like, I don't care. Like, I'm still gonna, like, I'm gonna end this conversation.
Your
like
sister, love, or whatever is a monster. Your son was a monster, and I killed your son.
And that, like, he was going along with her. I almost wonder if he had agreed with her that Cersei was a monster, if she would have still said that thing at the end. Because it was almost like Olenna was like, all right, well, you're too far gone. If you're like, if you're defending her after this, then you're hopeless, basically. And I kind of feel that way in a little bit too. I think Jaime's going to turn. Like, I don't think this is going to last forever. I think Jaime's going to turn on Cersei at some point when she goes too far. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that what she just did was not too far, but still. But, like, from Olenna's perspective, it's like, yeah, Jaime, what are you doing? Like, I don't know.
That the way she went out, fitting for Olenna.
Very fitting.
Best character.
I mean, it's just, as soon as she started, like, she gulped it down, she started talking, like it was obvious she was talking about Joffrey. I was like, yes. Yes. And I didn't.
Because they're going, you see Jaime getting more and more frustrated and upset.
And acting again. Yeah. Spot on.
Right. Yeah, this episode's actors.
And I'm just glad that even though she died before she got her revenge on Cersei, she was still able to die in a, like, awesome way. Like,
it's one of those things. I'm kind of glad we didn't actually see her die. It's just they went out and we just know she did it off screen.
Yeah, you just saw that shot of her.
Yeah, I think that's best way for it.
I think so too, and it's a fitting into, honestly, really, like, one of the best characters in the series. Not just from the, like, she's the sassy old lady, but she actually, like, played a major role in the events of the series, and that her acting and her lines and everything were just great. And she's another one of those characters that her versus book her TV show is superior. Like, TV show Olenna is
One
much
of those
better.
kids, okay, yeah.
Yeah. It was like her and Cersei are like two of the only ones where I like preferred the book version of them. And other ones are just different, so it's hard to like compare them.
Yeah.
But.
Alright, yeah. Again, I haven't read books, but yeah, for Olenna and Cersei, it's like, well, yeah.
Those actresses just completely nail the roles. Mm-hmm. And Olenna plays a much smaller role in the books, or at least not on page. You don't see her. Like, what she does is kind of more in the background. Same thing was with Marjorie. Like, she also had a lot more of a background role.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah. So Darby, I guess we'll do this part of the show. We say, what do you think's gonna happen next episode, and what stories will we see?
Yeah,
and who won't be there?
Third week in a row. I don't think Sam, but who knows?
Yeah. I feel like we'll get something on Arya.
Yeah.
Even if it's just an update of where she is and what she's doing.
Yeah.
This is probably gonna be the way it's for most of the season, but even if it fluctuates, like how much we're seeing, but obviously Jon and Dany's gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Cersei's gonna be in it. You assume Winterfell's probably gonna be in it, but that's one I could potentially see. Maybe not next episode, skip an episode depending on how things go.
Yeah, especially Jon's not there now.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm wondering, like, I don't know if the Arya, Bran, Sansa big reunion's gonna happen next episode, or it might even happen the episode after that. But
I feel like if it wanted to, yeah. I mean, we know she's going north, for that's the last time we saw her.
I mean, technically, we don't know, because there are people that think after that Nymeria scene, she said, "That's not you." Some people think that she was saying, like, "That's not you," like her past or whatever. I didn't think this when we recorded it, but some people made good points that could mean she's turning around again. Yeah. I'm just saying we don't know. For
yeah.
Sure, but okay. Working on the assumption that she is going north.
Yeah. Oh, especially with the, I guess, distance people have traveled since last episode. I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say Arya could make it to Winterfell by whatever time next episode's in.
Yeah.
So,
I could see the Hound making it to Winterfell potentially. The Hound, because they were already in the north like last time we saw them, and
we didn't see them last episode either. So
yeah,
there's 2 episodes about them. So yeah, it makes sense.
I could definitely see them. I mean, there could be we could actually potentially see a lot of Winterfell next episode if Arya and the Hound get there. There's a lot of people meeting again,
Yeah, we could take a little less King's Landing and have a more focused Dany/Jon and then Winterfell episode.
Yeah. It probably won't because we can't predict these things, but
yeah,
we don't watch the next on because why would we want to do that?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah, I agree. Sam. I mean, I can see Sam taking a break, but who knows? Jorah probably will be gone for a couple episodes.
Yeah, I would think like him traveling to Daenerys, but Jorah could get there and, like I said, become like a military advisor.
Yeah, I guess think how fast. I'm not good with how this stuff is far away. These places are from each other. I don't know how far the Citadel is from. Dany is.
It's closer than some of the distances I've seen other characters travel in an episode.
Okay.
I mean, like, Winterfell and Dragonstone are freaking very, very, very far from each other, and Jon got there in one episode. So, yeah, Jorah could get there in an episode.
Yeah. If the plot demands it. See, that's one of those things you don't think about unless it just really stands out. Like,
Yeah. I mean, that was, like, I just assumed that there's a lot of, I feel like, especially as this show goes on, we're having to do a lot of assuming that there's time jumps.
I mean, yeah.
And I hope that somebody, like, writing this has it all, like, in a consistent timeline, because when you're watching it, it can get kind of, like, I don't know what happens when, we hear about Jon, I'm going to go to Dragonstone, and then he's there, and that's, like, at two opposite ends of the country, of the land, basically, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't want to think too hard about it. Also, okay, like, I also wanted to ask you this, like, I wanted to do this for maybe this episode and future ones. Do you have and this is kind of a bad one to first do it on because, like, everything was great, but do you have, like, I was going to ask if you had a highlight and, like, a low light of this episode. Low lights are hard in this one because this one was so good.
So many highlights, yo.
Like, I mean, like, it's awesome as that whole ending was. Like, my highlight was John and Danny talking, and that I just think that
number
was...
one and two. Elena going out like the champ she is, and John and Danny.
That's, like, right there. Yeah. That's number 2 right there.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And I don't know if I have a low light. This episode was so freaking good.
I'll just say this for the sake of having a low light. Theon's scenes, because it feels like it was nothing compared to everything else that happened.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of picking it.
Yeah.
Picking one.
It's hard. Like, this was a very, very good episode. So, yeah. A
lot of stuff went down. So, yeah. They keep this pace. I feel a lot better the fact, again, 10 episodes left in Game of Thrones, Darby.
I know. But this has been episode 2 and 3, and both of them had, like, pretty epic battles at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I kept on thinking, like, how fast is the war between Dany and Cersei going to go on? Yeah, 2 major battles and big losses on Dany's side. So this is moving at a pretty quick pace. And I'm on the side, I'm okay. I'm not saying people are complaining about this because I don't know, haven't had time to really look. I can see some people not being happy with the fact those battles, the 2 battles we had this episode, either we didn't see at all or went by really fast.
Yeah, but I mean, like, when we are already having so much else happen, I think that's fine with me.
I mean, it's also kind of thing, I know we're going to have, like, actual battle scenes later on, especially when, like, Jon and stuff are involved, but we don't need to see all of this stuff, especially when they're filled with no names.
No, and you know that, like, especially if we're seeing this kind of stuff now, like, the end of the season is going to be crazy. We're going to see some crazy stuff. There's no way they're going to, like, front load this season.
I want Jon riding a dragon.
He might have that. I mean, like, Daenerys did talk about, like, I'll go burn their fleets by myself, and they're like, it's too risky and everything.
Well, what if the dragons go up to Jon and be like, hey, buddy?
Which he probably does have Targaryen blood, yeah. But, I mean, granted, if Daenerys going on a dragon is risky, then Daenerys and Jon is, like, the riskiest thing you could possibly do. Those are like 2 of the most important people in this society. But Daenerys might get to a point where she's like, I'm doing this, and you're not stopping me because we are desperate, you know, so.
And then Bran becomes a dragon.
Probably. No one knows with Bran. He probably will.
Who knows what he can do now? He can be all 3 of them.
He's everyone.
See dragons, three-eyed raven. Yes, yeah. It's all connected.
Well, you have any parting thoughts about this episode, Jeff?
Great episode. Excited for next week. Is it next week yet, Darby?
If this last week was hard to wait, then this is going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, let us know, like, please let us know if you think, like, I haven't looked at anybody else's impressions. I hope we're not alone in saying how amazing this is. But I, like, right now, it's like we're not that far removed from it, but this has to be up there in my favorite episodes. Just did everything right, so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jeff, well, it's midnight. We need to get to sleep.
We got Rick and Morty, man.
I have to edit this and watch Rick and Morty. I'm probably going to be going to sleep at 3 a.m. This is what we do for you guys. Hope you enjoy it. So definitely make sure you check back in with us next week. We'll be right here again doing this. And send us any questions you have. We might answer them on the next show. If you like video games, check out the Nerds at Large Gaming podcast. All that good stuff.
We also recorded that tonight.
It's been a long night.
Yes.
The long night.
Yes.
I'm getting tired, Jeff. Yes. Kind of delusional. All right. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
Yep. Pickle Rick.